Next, we're going to take a look at our sends. Now, if you remember our signal flow, after our inserts comes our sends, at least our pre-fader sends. The post-fader sends come after the fader. So right now, we can see 5 inserts and 5 sends, but there are actually 10 sends. Let's hide the inserts and go down here and choose sends F through J. And that shows us all 10 sends. It's hard to see on my screen, so I'm going to hide the second bank and view the inserts instead. But just know, there are 10 sends to choose from, if you need that many. So to use our sends, we just go right here and choose where we want to send something. We can use a direct output. We want to send it to our headphones or any other output on our audio interface, or we could use it for buses. Let's create a new send to add some reverb to our vocal. For a new track, we'll use a mono aux input and name it reverb. And that creates this track right here. We'll solo safe it and put a reverb plugin on there. We'll use deverb. So now, if we want to add some reverb to the vocal, we just bring up our send. Right now it's dry.
Watch me as I disappear.
Bring it up.
Watch me as I disappear, going through the stratosphere.
And we have reverb. Now on the plugin, we have the dry wet mix. We're going to want to leave this at 100% wet. This way our reverb is the only thing coming out of our return, and our main track is completely dry. So we can blend it using those faders, or using the send.
Watch me as I disappear, going through the stratosphere.
Now right now, this send is post fader. If we mute the track or the channel, we don't hear anything. No vocal and no reverb. If we pull the fader down, the same thing. Because this send is post fader. So it gets its level after this section. So this needs to be on or up in order to send signal out of our send.
Watch me as I...
Unless we make our send pre-fader. Click this. Now we can mute this.
Watch me as I disappear.
Or pull the fader down.
Watch me as I disappear.
The signal is still being sent to the reverb. Now for effect sends, like reverb, delay, chorus, we probably wouldn't use pre-fader. Let me show you why. With a post-fader, the signal up, as we change the volume of our main fader, the reverb changes with it, in direct proportion. So the ratio of dry sound to effect stays intact no matter what we do with the fader. So if we bring it down,
watch me as I disappear.
The reverb gets lower too. Bring it up.
Watch me as I disappear.
The reverb gets louder to match the vocal. So they stay in proportion, which makes the most sense for typical effect sends. But there are times where you want it to be pre-fader. Let me show you. Let's go to our bass track here. Now let's say we want to add some distortion to it, but we don't want to put it right on the track. We want to do it in parallel. So we have a dry track and a distorted track to blend together. Let's create a send, new track, mono aux, and name it bass distortion. Now that created this track here. Let's put a plugin on there. We'll choose the Sans amp, and let's solo it and add some signal. Notice it gets more distorted as we bring this up. But the problem with this is if we bring the bass down in the mix from its fader, it gets less distorted because it's not hitting that plugin as hard. We want it to be more consistent and hit that distortion plugin the same way every time. And then we could adjust the volume after the effect. So instead, let's send this pre-fader. Hit this button. Now we can unsolo the main bass and listen to this. Let's send it full signal. Now the main volume on the bass track is not affecting what's going to the distortion track. They're completely separate. So now we can solo this one too and blend them. So now later on, if we change the volume of our main bass, the distortion on this bass doesn't change. We still have to adjust the return to affect its volume, but the distortion sound or the effect isn't going to change if we move this fader. So that's a good reason to use pre-fader. It's also good for headphone mixes, which we'll go through in the next video. Now another thing that's pretty cool about Sends is there's a meter right here. Watch it.
Watch me as I disappear.
So we could always see if we're distorting our sends, and we could bring them down. But as long as we keep them below 0, we're usually okay. But it's a good idea to check the little meter right there.
Watch me as I disappear.
It's nice to have. Now, like the inserts, we can bypass our sends. On the Mac, hold down Command. On the PC, hold down Control, and just click it.
Watch me as I disappear.
And the send is muted. We can deactivate it. On the Mac, hold down Command, Control. On the PC, hold down Control and Start. And click it. And it's deactivated.
Watch me as I disappear.
Hit it again. It's active again. Also, like inserts, we can move them. Put them in a different slot, on the same track, different tracks, and we can duplicate them. On the Mac, hold down Option. On the PC, hold down Alt, and drag them over. And the settings stay the same. So if we want this reverb on the double tracks as well, Option on the Mac, Alt on the PC, and drag them over. Now we could also expand our sends so we can control them right in here. On the Mac, hold down Command. On the PC, hold down Control. And click right here on this arrow. And it expands the send to a fader, a mute button, and a pre-fader button. If it was a stereo send, it would have a pan button as well. So right from here, we can adjust our send level, in this case reverb.
Watch me as I disappear, going through the stratosphere.
Or mute it.
Watch me as I disappear.
Or make it pre-fader. And we could do this on each send separately. So let's add a few more sends. Close it back up, Command on the Mac, Control on the PC, click the arrow, and it closes back up. Let's select all these tracks, add some echo, and chorus, and long delay. So now we can expand each one depending on what we want to see. Expand the long delay, just like that. Make an adjustment, close it up, open the chorus, open the echo, and it opens it up on all the tracks for that send. We could open them all up and adjust all our sends right from this window and close them back up just as easily. Let's hide our inserts and open up our second bank of sends. So now we're seeing all 10 sends that are available. Let's copy this down just so we could see more of them. Normally you wouldn't copy the same send on the same track. I just want you to see it on separate banks. So now there's key modifiers to mute our sends. On the Mac, if you hold down Control, on the PC, if you hold down Start and click the first send, it mutes all the sends on the track. And just like the inserts, it goes from the first one on. We choose the second one, it does the second one on, all the way down. If we want to mute all the sends in our session, just add another modifier. On the Mac, hold down Control Option. On the PC, hold down Start Alt, click the top one, and all the sends in the entire session are muted. And again, they go in order. Hit the second one, from the second one on are muted, and all the way down. I should also mention, if you have these lined up, and you're only using the same send in each slot, or this one, you can use this key command. On the Mac, it's Option Command. On the PC, it's Alt Control. And if you click any of them, all the sends in our session in that slot get muted. Just the reverb, just the echo, chorus, long delay. But this only makes sense if we use the same send in each slot. If we mix them up, it's not as useful, at least for this key command. Now there's also some dedicated key commands when we have tracks selected. Let's just select the lead vocal track. And if we hit Shift Q, all the sends on that track, the selected track, get muted. Let's select the first double vocal along with the lead vocal. Hit Shift Q, and on both tracks, all the sends are muted. Hit it again, they get unmuted. We could also do it with banks. Shift 3 just mutes the first bank of sends. Shift 4 does the second bank. So if you dedicate one bank for effect sends and the other for headphone mixes and hit this key command, we can mute or unmute them separately. Now I should also mention, this also works with the edit window. Over here, we can choose what we're viewing here as well. Our inserts and sends, hit Option on the Mac, Alt on the PC, and we could hide them or bring them back right here. First bank of inserts, second bank of inserts, first bank of sends, and the second bank of sends. And all the same things work here as well. Command on the Mac, Control on the PC, expands them. So it doesn't just work in the mix window, although sometimes it's easy to see it here. So anyway, that's the sends in Pro Tools. Let's move on.